Welcome back to An American Homestead, podcasting live from deep within the Ozark Mountains at an elevation of 2,200 feet. It's 10 p.m. Eastern and 9 Central, and it's good to be back. Got a big stack of stuff for you tonight, and lots of topics, lots of news to talk about, lots of homesteading topics, so feel free to join in for the entire hour. This is recorded live every Saturday night starting at 9 p.m. Central, so if you're hearing this on a podcast later, feel free to make sure to tune in live for the Saturday night, 9 p.m. Version, so you can be part of the chat room and everything that goes on there. So, with me almost as always is Jaimie, and we got a bunch of stuff to talk about tonight. So let's see what we got going first. Just a quick plug to all the Homestead channels out there on the homesteadnetwork.com. If you're not familiar with them, you can go to the homesteadnetwork.com and click on the show times and check out a bunch of other great Homestead YouTube channels that are available there and see what times they broadcast their live podcast. And then check out their other shows as well. We are always following Deep South Homestead. I believe they're in Mississippi or somewhere in the Deep South, next to the Gulf. I'm not sure exactly where. It's probably a super secret location. We can't talk about it anyway, but they're on before us at 8 o'clock Central, and then we follow them. And I think tonight, after this is over, Big Bear Homestead is going to be doing the Insomnia Patrol show. Usually it's an unscheduled show, but they usually run it after us anyway. We're like the late show of Homestead podcast on Saturday night. Like Dave Letterman. That's us.
Yeah, I know.
So we got a bunch of stuff to talk about today. What did we do this week?
Well, you got your little list there. Are we going to just run down it?
Well, I mean, we can. I started the Solar Kiln project yesterday. Not yesterday. Yesterday? Mm-hmm. No, Thursday. I started putting in the footers for the Solar Kiln. It's going to be 160 inches by 78 inches, and it should hold, I think, about, when it's done, between 600 and 800 board foot of lumber for the sawmill on the homestead. So that's begun. We got the footers in place, and we have the boards for the flooring in place. So we're going to do the rest of the flooring, probably an insulation for the flooring, probably this week. And so that's well on its way. And we'll do the people over at Tough Text and Ondura sent us some roofing materials for that. I think they did the same thing for Off Grid with Doug and Stacy as well. But that's going to be a great, addition for our homestead. We're going to be able to use that to make money, to kiln dry lumber for cabinet makers. And in the Ozarks, guys, there's a lot of cabinet makers and people who do woodworking. So, it sounds like, from what I hear, there's a scarcity of really good kiln dried lumber. So that's going to help. Jaimie's redoing the inside of the house on the living room side. It's not that big of a house, so it's like...
Yeah, it's a pretty small house, but...
It does have its living room side.
Yeah, well, the living room is up for this winter.
And this is basically a Pinterest project. You got all your ideas from Pinterest, right?
Well, not exactly, but when I have an idea, what I do is go and search for on Pinterest and see if anyone has done something similar. And so then I don't see if I'm too crazy or, I can see it in action. So somebody else has done it. I can see, oh yeah, that's a good idea. Oh yeah, I love how they did that. Or it's going to turn out. So that's what I normally do.
Right. And so it's looking like a really cute farmhouse is what it's got beadboard and all kinds of different.
Yeah, my dad helped me put shiplap on one wall. I don't
know what shiplap is.
Well, for anyone out there who watches any kind of farmhouse stuff, they'll know what I'm talking about. But it's just like the horizontal paneling.
Right, horizontal paneling.
Yeah. And anyway, so that went up and it looks awesome. I'm so happy. And we are getting close to finishing the window seat and I have cabinets for the kids' school supplies, and it's gonna look so cool. I love my window seat. I've always wanted a window seat since I was a little girl.
Yeah. So it's turning into a real farmhouse looking type, living area.
And it's going to be a lot more functional. I'm creating some space for homeschool supplies, and it's a lot more functional in terms of seating. And when we have guests, our living room is small, and sometimes we end up having a lot of guests. 10 plus people, as well as our family, which is kind of crazy for our little house. Anyway, so we're creating more seating in the living room too.
So that's in the works right now, and working on that. It's a winter project. You do it inside in the wintertime because it's cold outside. And
yeah, every winter I work on something in the house, a big project in the house. This is my big project. I always have my little projects.
And this will be recorded. Once she's done, we'll give us a tour on it. And we've been taking some pictures here and there of while she's working on it in her paint scrubby clothes. And so we'll do a video coming up on this when it's done and she's ready to show it off.
I've been wearing my same paint clothes for like 3 weeks in a row, I think.
So that's the video is coming. This week we broke a shovel. I did a video on the Survival Hacks survival shovel and broke that. If you saw the video, it was just basic. I mean, I didn't have a lot of high hopes for it anyway. And there's a lot of companies who contact me and want me to review products, and a lot of times they're not even Homestead related. I mean, I got one. It was a couple weeks ago, maybe a month ago or so, and it was like this Monk MONQ. It was like this breath. Remember the breathalyzer thing? It was like this little, it's like a little stick of different type of fragrances that you could breathe in, and they were supposed to calm you or just have different sensations, almost like one of those little vapor cigarette things. But these were fragrances. Remember that? And I said, why would I use that?
Yeah, I guess I remember that now.
Yeah, and so and they kept emailing me wanting me to try this, and I'm just racking my head. I'm like, why would I ever use this? And who in the homesteading audience is going to care? So I get a lot of people who email me. So I mean, we've got about 36,000 subscribers now, and we're growing. We're definitely not by far the biggest homestead channel on YouTube. There's a lot of people bigger than us. But when you get to about this size, people start throwing things at you pretty nonstop, trying to get you to review things. And so a lot of times I just ignore them, or a lot of times I'll just tell them, you know what, thanks, but no thanks if they're persistent, and just tell them I'm not interested. But when this company emailed me Survival Hacks, I have experience working with an e-tool or an entrenching tool, being in the infantry when I was in the military, in the Army, and I knew what a good entrenching tool was. And I'm like, okay. And I still have my entrenching tool from when I was in the Army. So I'm like, this would be great. I could actually pair this up with mine and see how it does. And of course, it failed miserably, but it was great for camera. So it was a made in China shovel, and I just didn't think it was going to work. And I thought maybe I'll be surprised, but I was right, and it was horrible. So we broke a shovel. Jaimie started a new sourdough batch this week.
Well, I got my starter out of the cooler. It had been in the cooler since we had been traveling several weeks in a row. And I just got it back out and got it going again. Zach's looking forward to sourdough bread.
Yeah, I love sourdough. There's something about, especially toasted sourdough. Like when she toasted in the iron, was it the cast iron in the morning?
Yeah, we always toast our bread in the cast iron skillet.
We
don't have a toaster.
Yeah, so that's how we toasted our bread, and it's really good. So it says Aussie Josh says a good quality shovel would break that easy. Well, I have a shovel. I have lots of shovels. I have my military e-tool, and I dug the rest of that hole with the e-tool, and it did no stress on that e-tool whatsoever. It's just made better. The steel was just garbage steel. It wasn't very thick, and there's people who know steel know that there's different varieties of steel.
Yeah, he says wouldn't break that. I think he had a typo.
Yeah. Okay, I see. I'll see, Josh. Wouldn't break that easy. I'm like, yeah, because there's just different types of steel out there. And man, this was just really bad quality. And I haven't heard back from the manufacturers yet, Survival Hacks, if they saw the video yet or not. So tell us about the lanterns.
Well, it's weird. We've had these lanterns. Well, we purchased them well before we moved off grid, so we probably purchased them
So they've seen our videos. We have
5 years ago.
Lanterns all over the house.
Yeah, and they're the Dietz lantern, which is now made in China, but evidently they took the equipment
From Germany.
from Germany directly to China, so it's the same equipment from what we understand.
Right.
Anyway, so we've had these lanterns for a long time. We've been burning them steadily off grid for 4 years. The very first year we used one, the globe just popped. A piece of glass just popped right out of it, and it broke. And if it's broken at all, it's unusable. So we had 4, and so all of these 3 years later, we've been using just the 3 of them. Well, another one broke the other day. Just popped right out, just like it had in a few years ago. And so we were left with 2 globes. We decided that we should order more. So they arrived in the mail. They're bright, shiny, brand new. They look amazing. I think probably what I've been doing is I wash the globes so that they're clean, but I think maybe they have minor scratches in the glass.
Yeah.
So making them not so bright and shiny anymore.
Or it could be, I mean, over time of being that hot, we use them a lot. They could be actually burning the glass.
I think it is a thermal difference in temperature. You know, like canning, they call it thermal shock. I think it's probably the same thing, a difference in temperature. But I just don't know why it happens some nights and not others, because our house is generally the same temperature. We have our wood stove going.
Right. But we got so all the lanterns are in working order and being utilized throughout the house. You'll notice in some of our videos we have hooks in different places, because you walk in our house and there's no lights on the ceiling like most houses have. You know, they have electrical lights. Well, we have, when you walk in our house, is you have hooks coming out of the woodwork in different places, and those are the hooks that you hang the lanterns on. So you can go from room to room and move the lanterns around with you. We have one that permanently hangs over the kitchen. We have a couple in the living room. The children's room has a hook. Our bathroom has a hook. Does our room have a hook? Our room doesn't have a hook.
No, but we have a lantern that sits permanently on our dresser.
Yeah.
I just have the other hooks around just so the kids don't bump into them. They're not tall enough to bump into the lanterns if they're hanging. I don't like them sitting on the furniture necessarily. You know, somebody runs by. We have kids. It's safety is important.
Tim wants to know if we've looked at propane lights for our home.
We have, and I mean, we had that Coleman propane.
We had a lantern. Propane. I don't know.
I hated it.
Yeah, we haven't been real big. It's not only that, but those little small canisters, propane canisters, don't last very long, and they sell those little tools where you can refill them. But we tried that, and it doesn't work as well as they advertise it. See, there's a lot of things out there that don't work as well as advertised.
I don't like the smell of the propane burning, but I also don't like the sound.
Yeah,
they're really noisy, and they send out that shh as they're burning.
Yeah.
My favorite thing by far, I mean, people have given us solar lights. They're okay, and they provide a good amount of light, focused light when I'm doing the dishes and stuff. But, you know, LED may be a good option at one point for when we have enough solar to put that in the bathroom. But honestly, my favorite light by far is it's fire. Lantern light and candle light. Yeah,
the candles we use are all palm oil candles. You can buy the palm oil by the block. What's the difference between palm? You said there's a difference in like palm oils, isn't there?
There's the consumable edible one, and there's the kind that is used for candles and soap making. That's my understanding. After researching it, that's my understanding. So, for example, they're putting palm oil in a lot of foods now, especially if you look at peanut butter. They're using palm oil in peanut butter now and have been for several years. So that's the edible kind, and there's a different process that it goes through, different refining process from what I understand to make the two different.
Right. So we use a lot of palm oil candles. and all the lanterns are kerosene lanterns, and they're very affordable to run. I don't know how we should. It's not very much. I think we looked at it one time and we told people what it cost, but the yearly fee for keeping our homes lit is nominal. So let's see what else we got here. First aid burn care. That was something else this week that came up.
Well, the boys went down to visit the neighbor, and they're off-grid as well. And they're a little bit more hardcore than we are off-grid. They're just trying to get their home built. And so they're doing most of their cooking outside with a fire. And so they have an ash pot where they empty their ashes from the fire regularly. They have a large family. They're doing a lot of cooking. Anyway, my little 4-year-old accidentally ran into the ash pot. He wasn't watching where he was going. Anyway, he fell and stuck his arm in the ashes, and his arm got burned. And the mom brought him up the hill to me, and I had to stick him in the shower right away. He was so dirty, I couldn't even see where he was hurt. Anyway, he had a pretty good burn on his arm, and he was hard to calm down. He cried for a long time, so we're frantically running around trying to find stuff to put on the burn. I'm blowing on it constantly. And wishing that we had our aloe burn cream that we had ran out of, a year or so ago. We never replaced. So things like that, something happens. And we try to focus on preparedness, but things happen and you realize where you fall short.
Yeah. So we used to have a bunch of aloe creams on hand. We don't have that anymore. So we're going to go back and reorder some of that stuff. The one we like is a company called
Aloe One.
Yeah, but what's the name of it? Stockton. Yes.
Well, no, but Stockton
is the breed of the plant.
Breed of
breed
of the aloe plant.
Right. So Stockton Aloe One, it's named after a guy named Stockton who basically discovered this type of aloe plant.
And I guess it's really, really good for burns. It has a higher healing properties than
way
others.
Better than your normal aloe vera. Okay. Aloe vera is good, but if you can also grow the Stockton aloe vera plants by ordering the pups. They're called pups online at the Stockton website. And they're the best aloe vera because there's different aloe vera. I didn't know this. I had no idea there was different aloe vera, varieties of plants out there. The Stockton is the best for burn. It's also consumable by drinking it. They sell it so you can drink it. We did that once, but we're gonna have to restock on our Stockton Aloe One.
Yeah, I know that some of you guys grow it out there. Oh, I wish we could grow it here.
Yeah, we're a little too far north to grow it here. We can probably grow it inside, but we can't really grow it outside. It won't survive the winter. But we will try to grow some inside at some point. Just have a plant or two here. But the Stockton Aloe One is the one you want to go to. We're going to have to restock on that here coming up soon. So I was running around frantically trying to get through my first aid kits and pulling out little burn creams packets I had and apply those to
and
wound.
And really I just kept blowing on it, and it was almost to the point of hyperventilating. I just kept blowing on it because that was the only thing that seemed to comfort him.
Yep. So the last thing, next thing is on my list is the Homestead box and blade care. People wanted to know what I thought about the Homestead box on a scale of 1 to 10. I saw someone ask that in the chat room. I would rate it about a 9. And the only reason I give it a 9 and not a 10 is because I wish they had a few more YouTube videos online they have a few and they're updating them. They put a new one up this week. But I think they need to put up some more YouTube videos showing, how to use some of the tools that are included in the Homestead box. But so far, and there's just a lot of companies doing this now. I think it got really popular when a guy a couple years ago started a company, and I forgot what it was called, some kind of geek box or tech box or whatever, where they were putting in all kinds of geek tech toys, just different toys, for technology minded people, and they were sending him off, for a monthly fee, and he grew the business to like $160 million business. And so many other companies have decided to do the same thing, and you have the creation crates, and you have the Homestead box, and you have so many others that are doing the same thing. You have art ones, there's homeschool ones, there's all kinds of different ones now that are coming up, and so the Homestead box is one of those. And I think I like this one a lot because it's not just sending you stuff like some of these boxes do. There's a lesson. That's why I like the creation crate, is because they send a lesson. You're actually learning something with it. And Joshua has been really learning a lot. It's really gotten his mind in a different spot by learning some of this code and learning how some of this stuff works, the electronics work. And so it's really good for homeschoolers. The Homestead box, I think, is really good, though. It's got a lesson in there. It's got a few projects you can take part in and learn something at the same time with. So I like it. Something else I was going to ask or mention is we talked about the shovel, and I said, someone mentioned in the chat room that, when manufacturing gets started back up in this country, like everyone hopes it will once Trump, takes over and gets things going again in a few years here, because it's not going to happen overnight. But if manufacturing does come back to this country, which I hope it does, everyone around here knows that scrap iron prices are in the toilet. There's just people have cars and all kinds of things sitting out in their front lawn, and it's just there's no value in it. It's not even worth loading up into a truck and taking away to the scrapyard, because you're not going to get any money for it. I think right now, if you're lucky, you're going to get like $14 a ton or something like that. I don't know. It's not worth it. So we've got scrap iron, that we could give away, or we could sell, and I think once manufacturing comes back, you're going to have less of these cheap garbage, shovels and, things that come out of China once America can compete again with some of this stuff. So anyway, I don't know about you guys, but there's a lot of scrap iron sitting around my county and the people I know who have it in their yards, but there's just nowhere to take it. So just real quick, Danny off Deep South Homestead mentioned farm equipment. I've had two people, and I don't know if this is true. I've had two people tell me that in West Texas, the next time you're in the market for a tractor, that's where you want to go, because you're going to find tractors and tractor equipment like hookups and attachments, things like that, in West Texas way cheaper than you're going to find anywhere else. And I don't know why, but I think the guy said that there's a lot of commercial farms in West Texas, and they upgrade their stuff quite a bit, and it's paid for by the government, subsidies and things like that. And so they have no problem with upgrading their equipment pretty often. And so what happens is West Texas, the market out there is just flooded. Places like Craigslist and eBay and places like that, it's just flooded with old used farm tractor equipment that people are trying to get rid of, but there's so many that it's just hard, and the prices are really, really low. So I don't know if that's true, but if you're, and that may be a little bit too far for you to travel, from Deep South Homestead all the way to West Texas, but for us it's not that. I mean, for other people who may be looking, that if you're looking for affordable equipment, I've had two people now tell me in my area, say, hey, go to West Texas, or at least look online in West Texas, because there's lots of affordable farm equipment there because of the government subsidies. So check that out, and your mileage may vary. I was getting ready for the show tonight and looking online, and Drudge looked like was under another denial of service attack. That's a DOS, denial of service attack. And I don't know if you guys, if it's still happening or not, but I know there's been a few terror incidences that have happened tonight because of the New Year's thing. We don't celebrate New Year's Eve tonight. Our New Year's is in the spring. We go by what the Bible says, Exodus chapter 12, verse 2. I know we don't talk about a lot of religion stuff here, but people ask me, so I have to. It comes up. So we do our New Year's in the spring. If you want to know why, Exodus chapter 12, verse 2. But I know there's been some terror events going on in the news as of the last couple of hours, and it looked like earlier Drudge was under another denial of service attack like it was earlier in the week. So that brings us to our stack of stuff of news items, and we'll see what Jaimie thinks about this. So a couple years ago, it was starting to get more and more well known about developers who were building neighborhoods like they do. And instead of golf courses, because I remember, when you were living in Orlando, your parents, they had a house on a golf course or nearby a golf course. And I mean, that was the big thing, and a lot of neighborhoods are like that, where, they build around golf courses. Well, today it seems like it's kind of switched, and they basically now are building them around farms. So they're building a farm, and then they're building the subdivision around the farm, and people can participate or not, and they get, like a CSA works, where you get signed up for a box and you get a box. It doesn't matter how much you participate or not participate, you're getting a box. And I think, let's see, the first article I saw was...
You'd have to pay for the box, though.
Well, I mean, that's part of the privilege.
It's just like when you pay to get on the golf course.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I think because...
But not everybody that lives in the neighborhood has...
Well, there are subdivision fees. So it seems like for most of these, we'll read an article here in a minute, but it seems for most of these subdivisions and they're calling them AgriHoods. It's like a neighborhood, but it's like an AgriHood.
Okay.
Okay. And so they have professionals who work the farm. Okay. So you don't work the farm because they can't rely on you to be there.
Well, obviously.
Right. So they want the stuff to grow and be planted and everything. So they grow pumpkins and whatever. And so it's manned by professionals. So this was the NPR article. It came out in 2013. And then earlier this year, from the Associated Press, this is bigstory.ap.org. It says, Davis, California, how are you going to keep them down on the farm? Asked the old song. The answer may be build them an Agrihood. And so the title is AgriHoods Take Root, a housing trend rooted in agriculture. It says, feeding off of the continuing interest in eating fresh local food, developers are ditching golf courses and designing communities around farms, offering residents a taste of the pastoral life and tasty produce too. The latest incarnation of Harvest Homes is The Cannery, a community designed around a small farm in Davis, about 20 miles west of California's capital, Sacramento. Master developer, the New Home Company, was looking to build a neighborhood not just for homes, and market research showed that people wanted to connect to community. So it made lots of sense to take this 7.5 acre piece of property and turn it into an urban farm. And have that be the focus point, says Kevin Carson, New Home president. So residents can sign up for a weekly box of produce from the farm, and no matter what their level of participation, they get to feel part of something, says Carson. They can see the pumpkins being harvested or the tomatoes being planted or the different seasons that happen on a farm. And so...
so they're paying for the box. They're not talking about...
Right.
Yeah.
But that's part of the... what they found, the developers...
They get to watch it grow, and then they feel like they're participating.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like Farmville on Facebook.
That's what that's what they're saying.
It's like Farmville on Facebook. So what the developers figured out, if you keep reading, it's basically they realized that people like to live next to golf courses, not because they played golf, but because they like the view.
Right, yeah.
Right, and there's a status symbol in that too. Well, today the new thing is AgriHoods. And so they're moving people next to these urban farms or suburban farms.
Yeah.
And they don't have to participate, but they get to see it all. And they're like, oh, look, I made this happen because I live here.
Hey, I mean, that's kind of cool. I mean, it's a lot better than a golf course.
Yeah, that's true. Well, I said, that's one of the reasons. They said golf courses are expensive. I mean, they're hard to upkeep, and you got to keep getting new members in. And so this is a lot less expensive, they said. Because when you think about all the chemicals and all the requirement that it takes to keep a golf course running, keep the grass the way it is. Continuing with the article, it's still a niche. McMahon is tracking almost 200 projects of various sizes. That's around the country. 200 different projects like this. A fraction of the overall market. Some AgriHoods are big, some are small. Only a few involve residents actually working on farms. Most, like the Cannery in California, have professionals handling the agricultural side of things, but the trend is growing quite rapidly and there seems to be some interest in it, says McMahon. I get a call literally almost once a day from some developer who wants to talk about this. And then it says nationwide examples of AgriHoods include Willisford and Ashburn, Virginia, Agritopia near Agritopia, that's a cool name. Agritopia near Phoenix, and Prairie Crossing in Grays Lake, Illinois. In California, the cannery opened in August of 2015 and is planned to be a 547 home community with prices starting in the 400,000s for townhomes.
Wow.
That's expensive.
Well, for us, but
But you get your free box every week. I mean, does that included with the $400,000
no,
townhome?
you don't get your free box.
I mean,
don't
that's
think
gotta
the
be-
box is free. I think you have to pay extra for
But
the
isn't
box.
it like most suburbs where you pay a subdivision fee every year?
You pay a subdivision fee no matter what.
Well, that's probably included with your free box.
But you still don't get a free box.
That's expensive. It says the farm has produced tomatoes, sunflower, and corn, which were harvested by volunteers and donated to a food bank. So they're not even eating it. They paid $400,000 for a townhome, and they're going to McDonald's.
They get the view.
I don't get that. I don't get it. Anyway, folks, the link is included in the description below. If you want to read more of the article, feel free to go in the description and click on the link. It's at the AP Associated Press. Big story, and I think it's a fun article. But, it's interesting. People are wanting to be farmers without actually being farmers. Just interesting article. I thought you'd enjoy. Oh, let's see what else is going on in my stack of stuff. Oh, so the miniature wood stoves. So I mentioned this to Jaimie earlier on in the week, and I have some pictures set aside. I thought she'd enjoy these. So I'm going to post it on Facebook later, the article, because I think it's kind of cool. Miniature wood stoves, although I don't think they're practical for most people. But for some, they might be. So a big trend, we have a family called, Travis Huey from the myaquafarm.com. And they are, I think, still building a bus, a schoolie, that they're transforming into a home. And I know Justin Rhodes on the Justin Rhodes YouTube channel is doing the same. So this miniature wood stove, if you go to the description, you can find the link, folks. It's cubicminiwoodstoves.com. So cubicminiwoodstoves.com. And so here are these tiny little wood stoves. And I'm showing Jaimie some of these pictures. So you can go to the website and see them. There's two products, the Cub and the Grizzly. And I mean, you can see how small that is.
I think you could fit a stove our size or maybe slightly smaller in one of those school buses.
But that would be way too, because I mean, even your parents have a 600 square foot house. Isn't it 600 square foot? I'm pretty sure.
Right.
And it's too much almost.
Yeah, but those buses aren't insulated like a house.
Well, they do put some insulation on them when they redo them.
Right, some, but not like ours house is insulated.
But, all right, so this is designed to heat spaces from 200 to 400 square feet. So it says ideal for boats larger than 40 foot, cabins and RVs larger than 20 foot. So, I mean, that would be, for a school bus or a pull-behind trailer, fifth wheel, things like that. It measures 12 by 11 by 15. That's the Grizzly. That's the big one. It's got a 3-inch flue pipe diameter. And so when I looked at the stats on this, the Cub can only fit logs that are 5 3/4 inches long. That's not even a log, really. It's more like a stick.
But how wide?
Well, 2x4. You can fit a couple 2x4s in it. But they can only be 5 3/4 inch long. And the Grizzly can only fit logs, 2x4 size logs that are 6 3/4 inch long. So it's a little bit bigger. It produces 18,000 BTU, that's heat energy, versus our stove, I looked up our stove. Ours is the True North T20. And
I thought it was T21.
No, T20.
20? Oh.
And it produces 62,000 BTU. So it's quite a difference.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I don't think...
For the space, though, when we lived in our trailer, it was a 20-foot trailer, and there were 3 of us plus a baby. So, and even just our body temperature, our body heat in that trailer raised the inside temperature 10 degrees.
But this is for over 20 foot longer, and ours was 25 foot. That would have been perfect to have that little thing in there.
I would have given my right arm for that in that trailer at that time.
We lived in there for about a year, folks.
We could have ripped. No, it was 9.
Well,
it
but
was
10 months.
Okay, 10 months. We could have ripped out that refrigerator, which we didn't even use, and put in a wood stove.
Yeah. Yeah, you could have put a wood stove in there. So anyway, it's cubicminiwoodstoves.com. So I don't know what all I think about this. I think it has its place. I don't think it's going to be practical for a lot of people, but it sure is interesting. And there's a lot of people. There's a lot of people coming who are buying these, and a lot of reviews coming in, and the reviews seem to be really good. So it's 3-inch flue pipe, which I don't even know where you'd find 3-inch flue pipe, double-walled. And maybe they sell it. I don't know. But so let me go to the gallery so you can see some of the installations in some of the homes. I think that was really cool.
Well, a lot of these homes are tiny homes.
Well, some of them are tiny homes. Some of them are really travel type trailers or things like that. So I think that was kind of cool.
Yeah,
they're
really cute. They're adorable.
We're looking at the pictures on, they have a gallery page. So if you go to cubicminiwoodstoves.com, you can follow along with us. We're looking at some of the pictures. They're taking forever to load. So hopefully that's not ruining the stream too much. But like that one, look at that one.
Yeah, it looks like a lot of them are mounted to the wall.
And they sell the mounts. The mounts, you can buy the mounts separately.
Yeah.
So that's all included. But anyway, I think that's a pretty cool idea. Pretty cool idea. So you can find the link in the description below. It's cubicminiwoodstoves.com. If you're living in a trailer or a small tiny home, tiny house, that might be what you need for getting through the winter. If anybody ever has one of these, please let us know when we get to the chat section. So there's another article I was going to show. It says guy builds house for underground for $50. And I see these posted on Facebook all the time, where they'll say, here's how you can build your house for $50 or $500 or $1,000, something really cheap price. And most of these, and this is the case too, again, link is included in the description below. It's on offthegridnews.com, and he basically built an underground shelter, an underground house for $50, and it's basically a shack. And I just know my wife, I don't think she could live in one of these. So you see these things all the time on different Homestead and off-grid news outlets, Facebook pages, building your house for some really cheap amount of price. A lot of times they're ridiculous, or it's not. It's a single guy, he's in his 80s, and he lives alone. He lives alone.
Yeah.
I don't think you could.
Does it show the inside?
Yeah, if you watch the video, it does. And I'm not going to watch the video now, but there's a YouTube video at the link where you can watch, and he'll show you. He basically has 3 underground houses. And I think, one of the houses seems to be okay. I just don't see a lot of use for it. They show some of the advantages and disadvantages of living in an underground home or a partially underground house. One of the advantages is that it's cool in the summer because it's underground. And so you got a lot of that, underground. I think it's like 50 degrees, or what's our well stay at? Like 50 degrees, 60 degrees?
It's 60 in the summer.
So that helps cool the house, but it stays warm in the wintertime. So when it's like, he's in Idaho, I think 6 miles from the Canadian border.
Yeah.
So it really helps him stay warm in the winter. He says it increases the soundproofing because you're underground. It's also a really good fallout shelter should anything like that ever happen. And he says there's no foundation required. So those are all the advantages. So the disadvantages, I'm thinking when I watch this video, is most housing materials are not built for underground use. So it's not, most housing materials, unless the really expensive ones, are not built for ground contact. If you're going to get ground contact building materials, you're going to pay extra for that wood. It's not cheap. Trust me, we just bought some for our solar kiln.
Well, for $50, if it falls down, you can build a new one.
Yeah, I guess, but if that was your last $50. I don't know. So the other disadvantage I thought of was it's a low resale value. I mean, let's just say, for instance, you're never going to move and sell this. No one's going to buy it.
Yeah, but you wouldn't have to resell it.
Why?
For $50, you have no investment. You don't have to resell it.
Well, I'm thinking of like partially underground homes, cheap homes in general. I mean, you're not really building up the value of your land.
You're talking, okay, I see what you're saying.
So I just
Because
don't.
a lot of people don't want to.
Is it worth it? Yeah, is it worth all the effort when you're not building up the value of your land? Because there's not a lot of resale value in a partially buried house. People want a normal home, stick-built homes. And the other thing that I mentioned was insects. So, ground contact for wood and other building materials draws insects in a lot of America. You have termites and other things that will get into your house. And so the guy never mentioned the woman who is interviewing snakes. The woman who interviewed this guy never mentioned, asked that question. I would have been like, what about insects? What about termites? Because he had a lot of wood, a lot of lumber that was on ground contact, and I don't see that lasting, for a long time. And he mentioned bears kept breaking into his house because they thought it was a cave and they wanted to get in there.
Oh my gosh. The thing for me is the light. I couldn't live in one of those things because it's the light. In the winter, when the days are short anyway, you need all that light. And in the summer, it may be cool in there, but you're not going to be in there because you can't see.
He addresses that in the video. He says all of his houses have at least 2 rooms have at least 2 sides with windows.
Oh, so like a skylight or something?
Yeah. He basically, I forgot how he described it, but he addressed that topic in the video.
I don't know. Even then, like skylights.
But it's also up north, so they don't get much sunlight in any time during the winter.
Skylights are great, but I love our house. It's small, but we have a lot of windows that open up onto the property. Like we can see out far. And it just feels really open and airy. I love that. I don't think I could live underground.
We like being able to look out over our fields and the pastures and stuff.
I get claustrophobic in really small spaces, and to not be able to see out all the time, I think that would affect me. It would affect me emotionally.
My other question about an underground or partially underground home is flooding. I mean, you better make darn sure that thing is not going to take on water. When you get, at least where we live here, we get downpours pretty good. Yeah. Sometimes, and if my house is partially buried, what are you going to do if you get a lot of rain? Like there's been times, I'm not kidding, guys, we get 5 inches of rain in one rainstorm over a course of 24 hours. So, what are you going to do when 5 inches of rain just shows up at your doorstep, and you're below ground level? I don't know. So I think there's advantages and disadvantages to it. There's an article there with a video included. If you're interested, you can watch that. I think you'll find it interesting.
I think it's cool for somebody who wants to do it, and like that guy who's a single guy. I mean, kudos to him for getting a house that he didn't have to pay for.
Right? Yeah, he didn't spend much money. I think he had 3 different houses on his property. The most he spent on one of them was $500. So everything else was recycled materials, stuff he found for free, stuff like that. So that's all in the description below. Let's go over to the chat room. I have one more topic, but I'll see what the chat room's doing. If you have questions and you want us to discuss them, please put them in all caps, and we will try to get to them and see them. And then if we don't address your question, and I'm not ignoring you, just please keep posting it, and we'll see if we'll get to it. But sometimes we'll try to answer the questions fully. So if we miss yours, go ahead and just repost it again. Let's see what's going on in the chat room. I see Deep South Homestead. Farm Alarm says lock the door. I guess that's about the bears.
Yeah, we have a French drain around our house.
Yeah. Yeah, we have a French drain. That was kind of a pain in the butt to put in.
Yeah, Zach and my dad dug the hole by hand, the trench by hand.
Yeah.
And put in pipe. It just basically routes the water from around the house. We have a lot of water that drains.
Off our mountain.
And it was like a mud pit right outside our back door. So we needed to do something to drain that water.
It really did work, though.
Yeah, it's great now.
Will you be doing a sourdough starter video?
Yeah, we'll do one. I'm still trying to work out some kinks, but we'll do one.
We can do one tomorrow.
But you'll just get me feeding the starter.
Well, that's okay.
Okay.
All right. Well, when are you gonna be making the first loaf with the starter? You just started.
I don't know. Probably 2 or 3 more days.
All right. So, Dawn, we'll try to get to that.
I didn't just start the starter. Normally you would keep your starter going for at least a week before you make your first bread. But my starter was already started. It was just in the cooler.
Peoria dude says, are you breeding your own chickens or just buying chicks as needed? No, we are breeding our own chickens. We hatched last year. Oh, it had to be like 60.
Yeah, something like that.
Or maybe more. We bred and hatched a lot of our own chickens from our own eggs on the homestead. We did a really good with expanding our chicken herd, and then Tim took a lot of the old birds and culled some of the old ones, the old hens, but the old hens right now are really producing some big eggs. So, but the new hens that are going to be laying here soon, they're going to be coming online here probably in the next week or so. So we're looking forward to that. Where in Texas are these cheap tractors? I was hearing around the Lubbock area, and just West Texas, Lubbock, all that area out there. There's a lot of commercial farms out there, a lot of commercial farms. So try to look in the Lubbock area, was what I heard. But all that area, all of West Texas out there, because they're all piping in water and growing corn and growing all kinds of stuff out there. Amarillo is another one. Amarillo, Texas. Check that area out too. The gardener says, how are the bluegill? They're good. They're kind of on the holding pattern right now. We're trying to get the aquaponics up and going again. I have some ideas about what I want to do with that in the coming spring. And so, we're going to see how that works. I have a huge issue, it seems like, with aphids in that place, and I can't use any chemicals or neem oil or anything, in the aquaponics because it kills the fish. And so I'm trying to narrow down. I've got a few narrowed down on plants I'm going to be growing in the aquaponics that doesn't require any chemicals, and the aphids don't like it, so I can get some really good production. But man, I got hit hard last year by aphids and pack rats. I don't know what it was about pack rats last year, but they just destroyed all kinds of stuff. Let's see. You said what to do if 5 inches of rain shows up at your door. I say lock the door. Ha ha. Okay, I get it. Farm alarm. Okay. Thank you. Love to hear about the breeds too. What kind of breeds chickens do we have?
I know we have Buff Orpingtons.
I don't know what the black ones are.
I don't know what the black ones are either.
I don't know. You're talking to the wrong guy. I'll have to ask Tim or send Tim a message on YouTube or on Facebook, and he'll tell you. I'm not sure. I'll try to find out next week, and we'll talk about it next week. What voltage is your solar system? 24 volt. Everything's 24 volt here. Go for Green Living wants to know. So everything is 24 volt. We used to have, when we first set it up, it was 12 volt, and we moved everything to 24. The only thing that's still 12 volt, I think, is we have a small solar system set up in the outdoor kitchen, and that's 12 volt. And the system set up in the chicken coop is also 12 volt. But everything else is 24. Wheat Tree Bonsai says, lace wings, Zach. Lace wings, yeah. If I can get a bunch more, I see lace wings out there, but man, they don't, and ladybugs just don't do enough job. There's just the aphids in there, man. I don't know what it is, but it's just not good. Do you can all your potatoes to preserve them, or do you store them in other ways?
Well, we've been canning them. We tried storing them in sawdust.
Yeah, it didn't work.
Didn't work. They really sprouted, and some of them, did they go mushy too?
Not really so much mushy, just he
No.
sprouted. It didn't work in the sawdust, and so I don't know. Plus, the sawdust contained there were small eggs of insects in the sawdust,
Yeah.
and we had these moths all over the
Oh
place
yeah,
in the
the
house.
moths.
And
Yeah, I
that
forgot
was
about
just a
that.
Bad
We
deal.
just decided to can them all this summer, and I mean it's a lot of work for a few days, but it's done.
I think I would like to. I've heard of people just keeping them out there over the winter. If you basically cut down the stalks, cut down the plants, and then cover them with mulch and other things. The problem is my garden has a lot of moles out there. Excuse me, and they will eat those things. And you can keep Jerusalem artichokes or sunchokes out there. We do that. And Jaimie made a great soup the other day with the sunchokes. But the moles, again, you got to sort through them because they really take their toll on the sunchokes. So you can leave them out there until you're ready to harvest them, but the moles will take their toll on them.
Yeah. Black Australorp. Yes, that sounds familiar.
Yeah, I think that's it. Black Australorp. That's right.
You guys, we don't take care of the chickens. My dad does the chickens, so
Yeah, I mean, we split up the duties around here. You can't do everything. There's a lot to do on a farm. So, you know, he's really in charge of the birds. So the turkeys and chickens are really his thing, and he's good at that.
Zach and our oldest son take care of our
The sheep.
big animals.
And the goat. Oh, not the goat. The cow.
The cow.
Did you get more solar panels recently? Not really. We have a couple laying around. I have one that I think we're using them all now. Everything's in use. But do you use lights to keep your chickens laying in the winter? Yes, I believe we do. We have a light. That's why we have the solar system out there. It's a 12-volt system in the chicken coop. There's a battery there. We did a video on that. So if you go back into our videos and just search for chicken, there's a video out there that shows you our solar setup at the chicken coop. And we've expanded that. We put a bigger solar panel on the roof of the chicken house. And so if you're interested, go try that, find that video, and someone can post it in the description or whatever. But there's a video out there of our solar setup in the chicken house. In the chicken coop. Have you looked into a compost heating system to heat your home or greenhouse? Yeah, I have looked at that a little bit, and it just seems like I have enough projects going on right now. I don't need to take on another one. So we have a great way to heat our home, and it's a wood stove, and we have a great way to heat our greenhouse, and it's a wood stove, and they work great. I tried to do the rocket mast heater for the greenhouse, and that was a disaster. It did not work at all. And then I saw a video that Paul Wheaton over at Permies.com and MHP Gardner did where they were talking about it just doesn't work. There's no insulation for a greenhouse, and so a rocket mass heater won't hold the heat like a barrel stove would. And so what MHP Gardner did, he put a double barrel stove in his greenhouse, and you have to seal it off airtight with your different gaskets and things like that. And once you seal it off, it'll burn all night long and put heat out all night long. And that's what I needed to do. And so I finally did what MHP Gardner advised, along with Paul Wheaton over at Permies. And a rocket mass heater will probably be great for a home, but it's got to be a custom home. Our manufactured homes are not built for that. But if you can build your home around a rocket mass heater, it'll probably work great. I mean, there's lots of people who use them, and they have great success with them. But for us, it's just not that work. Go for Green Living. Can I send a charge controller for product review? Yeah, I guess if you want to. I mean, I have a number of charge controllers. I could probably do a whole video just on charge controllers. So we have a bunch of them in use as it is, and there's some we like better than others. Let's see. Solar dehydrator. You showed your solar dehydrator, but I cannot find a video on the construction of it. Details. I don't think we.
No, we don't.
Yeah, man. I remember we thought about doing a video on the construction and the plans of the solar dehydrator. But here's the deal. If you go Google solar dehydrator, there's like a bazillion plans on Google for solar dehydrators. You don't need ours. And that's all we did. We just Googled it and found one, and and built it. Tim built it. And so there's lots of different plans on there. Just go find one and dive in and do it. So if you're interested in can they see your Pinterest stuff that you're doing that gives you an idea of what you're building? Or is that public, or how do you have your own thing on our American Homestead Pinterest?
I don't pin on our American Homestead because when I got my new computer, I don't know, for some reason I could never log into an American Homestead Pinterest page.
Okay. Well, if you're interested in our Pinterest page, you can go there. It's Jaimie's mom. That's what she does. She posts.
Well, she pins recipes.
Yeah. So if you're interested in American Homestead recipes, things that Joanne's doing.
I have my own Pinterest page that I keep up. It's just my name, Jaimie Bauer. So if you want to, I'm on there.
Yeah, so you can check out our Pinterest page. It's linked on our website at AmericanHomestead.com. And Joanne's the one who keeps up with that. So let's see, what else? There was something else, too, that was up here. I got to see if I can find it. Look back in the chat. About the panels, the chickens, Black Australorp. Oh, the bullet button. That was it. Hold on a second. What was it? Okay, so the bullet button. No, I finally found out what that is. I had no idea. I'd never heard of a bullet button. I guess when you're running an AR or an AK, you can basically quickly with one hand or one finger drop a mag. Well, they don't want you to be able to switch magazines that fast in an AR-15 when you're living in the state of California. So they basically require that you have to have a tool to operate the bullet button or the magazine release. I mean, is that right? Am I getting that right? I assume I am. But I guess the bullet button is something that's required by California state law. So, but it sounds like, according to the new law on January 1st, they're getting rid of the bullet buttons. I don't understand. Folks, if you're living in California, you're just a complete moron. Get out of California. I mean, just seriously, it's ridiculous, the legal stuff you have to go through. All right, so I hope I haven't offended too many people. But you know it. I mean, if you're listening to this show, you know it. Let's be honest. Let's see. Farmer Meemaw, I use a non-GMO feed, especially mixed for me. We get so cold here. Non-GMO feed. I guess they're talking about feeding their chickens. Anyway, so let's see what else. The last article in the description you can check out is what you should know about pallets. You see all kinds of articles posted about how to make great and amazing looking things with pallets. Well, not all pallets are the same. Really, there are hidden dangers in pallets. And if you're going to use them to construct things, especially a house, you want to make sure you know about the hidden dangers in pallets. It's a really good article. I really enjoyed it. It's by offthegridnews.com, and it's linked in the description below. You can find the link for that. So check that out, all about pallets. Let me go ahead and...
Somebody wants us to get my dad on the show to talk about chickens.
I don't know if I can get him to stay up this late.
He's in bed, you guys.
He says lavender essential oils for burns.
Okay.
Maybe. I don't know. So, hey guys, thanks for tuning in again tonight. If you guys are celebrating the new year, well then congrats for that. We'll be celebrating it in the spring, so wish me a Happy New Year at that time. Again, if you're interested in downloading these podcasts, you can go to Google or in whatever favorite browser that you have and search for turning YouTube videos into MP3. And that way you can download this video and all of our podcasts as an MP3 and listen to them later in the car or wherever you go. All right, guys, have a good night. See you next time, next weekend, same time, Saturday, 9 p.m. Central. I'll talk to you later. See you next time on the Homestead.